I'm Dave Greenwood, and this is Overcoming Distractions. If you are an adult with ADHD, a busy professional, an entrepreneur, a high achiever, or just need some strategies to navigate your adult ADHD, you're in the right place. Who am I? I'm an entrepreneur with ADHD and the author of 2 books, Overcoming Distractions and Overcoming Burnout. I coach and mentor people just like you, and together we navigate the ups and downs of adult ADHD. From getting out of our own way to helping people just like you thrive in the workplace. That's what I do. Want more info on working with me? Hit overcomingdistractions.com. Ready? Let's get to today's podcast. All right, gang, we're back. It's Dave. It's Overcoming Distractions. If you are that busy adult with ADHD, maybe you're a little burned out, maybe you are experiencing both, you're in the right place, as I say. So you have hit the right download button. So I love a good story when entrepreneurship and ADHD come together. That's what this whole Overcoming Distractions movement, I'll call it, was founded on. The original book, Overcoming Distractions, was I profiled busy adults and entrepreneurs with ADHD and how they not only maybe got through some challenges, but also built a thriving business, built a thriving career, and today how people kind of manage their ADHD as that busy adult. So that's what we're going to do today again. We're going to get back to the basics of overcoming distractions. And today we have Stephanie Mearse on. She's vice president at Desert Capital Management Group. She's the CEO of Empower Hour, a women's networking group. Founder of Crown Consulting, where she helps other entrepreneurs. She's on the speaking circuit, and I think you have a book out too, right?
I got 4.
You got 4? Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So, so given all that, kind of give us a day in the life of Stephanie Mearse, busy adult with ADHD.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited. So I love talking about this. I feel like ADHD for me is like a serious like superpower, right? On a lot of days, I can get more done in one day than most people can do in a week. Then there's other days where I can get nothing done at all because I can't focus.
Right.
So on an average day, I have a checklist. My checklist is the only way I can remember to get stuff done at all. And so my average day is I get up in the morning, I get my kids off to school because I still have young kids. And then after that, I then go into the, usually work from my home office and kind of get through that checklist. Like, oh, what is the most important stuff for the day? And then kind of work my way through that checklist to my very best ability. And then there's other days where I have nothing but outside appointments at like different events or venues. And then my checklist is pretty much shot for the day because then I'm on appointments all day. So, but generally speaking, as long as I can stick to my checklist, I tend to do pretty well, but I have to do it the day of my the day beforehand. So at the very end of that day, I have to put my checklist together or I will forget what I'm supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned something, because I learned a long time ago when I was running my PR firm, and I would go to events, and sometimes you'd go to like a networking event at like 7 a.m. and then maybe, a couple people go out for a cup of coffee after that, and you get back to the office or somewhere, 11 a.m. or so. And I found that day was shot. Like I couldn't get in gear. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided, you're right. I'm just, I'm not going to look at the checklist for these days that I'm out of the office. It turned into like a theme day. Like I'm just going to go out and about. I'm going to meet people. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have lunch. It's like that kind of networking / marketing day, because that's the mode my brain was in. Do you find that?
Oh, 100%. And so that's what I learned probably about 10 years ago. I would go on appointments in the morning and then I could do nothing on my checklist that day. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make sure they're all day appointments. Like I'm just going to be on appointments all day or different events or whatever. Or if I'm speaking at an event, like yesterday, I was speaking at a college. I could not get my checklist at all yesterday. And I was speaking at a college. I was on a radio show. Like, but it was all not to do with the actual checklist because I do that on purpose. Because if I try, I just can't. I can't be able to switch gears for some reason.
No, and I think when we do things like that, when we're in like a demanding career or job, I actually think that's a good thing. It's almost like a protection mechanism for us because then we don't sit there and get all frustrated and pissed off for the second half of the day because we got nothing done. And I think
Mhm.
that's why I think structure is so important for us as well when we're in like a demanding career and we're running a business or what have you, is that we need to learn how to structure those and go with the flow so we don't sit there and just get frustrated, right?
Oh, 100%, a hundred
Yeah.
percent. And by doing that, like honestly, like I've noticed that I have a more productive out day where I'm out doing things than if, and then a more productive in day where I get to my checklist. So I have noticed that, and I love that superpower in a lot of ways. In other ways, it can be a little overwhelming.
No, and I
So,
think there's a intense ongoing uh discussion on the internet and social media about the word superpower when it's used with ADHD.
oh,
But I think you're right that because some people would say you're dead wrong because this is debilitating. However, I do think that when we do put the right kind of mechanisms in place as a busy adult, that we can turn it into that kind of superpower, but we got to have like the foundation and the mechanisms in place.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it could be very debilitating in a lot of ways. You're absolutely right. But I feel like when you've overcome a lot of the obstacles with those mechanisms, like you stated, it really can become an ability that can make it to where you can get so much done and achieve so much more than just an average person because of those mechanisms, like you said. But also, I know a lot of people who have it, and they haven't found they have ADHD, but they haven't found their mechanisms, and so it's extremely debilitating for them. Like they can't get anything done, and
Right.
that's where I try to help out and say, hey, have you tried this? Say, hey, have you tried that type of thing? So
Yeah. 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 And that's what we do here. I mean, I strictly work with people that have really busy careers and they've got kids and there's just like a million things going on and they may be very successful in business or their career. They may be PhD level or a CEO, but there's like, all right, I've hit a point where like I need to like get back to the basics because
mhm,
I'm drowning here. So and that's where,
absolutely.
yeah, some of those kind of street smart things. So, and you mentioned the checklist, which obviously is a must have for us. But do you have like another must have in your life that has to be like in place for you to have, say, a successful day or productive day or a fulfilling day?
Yeah, I honestly lived by my calendar. So my calendar is how I'm able to get to remember what I'm doing. To remember, oh gosh, I have an appointment at 6 a.m. Oh crap, I have another one at 7. And so that calendar really keeps me to where I can focus. If I don't have a calendar set up for the day, I honestly won't remember anything I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. No, and I think that's important for people. And again, it sounds so simplistic, but I think we do need to kind of live in our calendar, you know, for
Yeah,
for a bunch of reasons, whether it's um like I said, like you said, remembering where I need to be today or tomorrow, or visually blocking out time to actually get deep work done, which I think is mission critical for us as well. So
oh, 100%.
yeah, yeah. So why did you finally go and seek an ADHD diagnosis? Were there things happening in your life that said, maybe I should just go see somebody, or what caused you to do that?
Honestly, I love that you asked that question because I've never been asked that question.
Hmm.
So I'm so happy. Honestly, I've been going to therapy for a very long time because I had a really rough childhood. And so, I'm still working on overcoming a lot of the obstacles that were presented to me when I was a child. And so, my therapist actually was like, you know, that you have ADHD, right? And I was like, I just know I have a lot of energy. I get a lot done. Like I don't know what you're talking about. Like I'm good. Like we're good. Like I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, "Here, take a few tests and just check it out." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And I kind of guessed like maybe I had it. Yeah, no, I had like the full spectrum. Like I really have ADHD and a few other things to find out. And I'm so grateful that I was finally diagnosed when I was I think I was like 39, almost 40 years old, because it made so much more sense. Like once I was actually diagnosed with it officially, I started looking into it more and was like, oh my gosh, I'm normal. Like this is normal for people to have these tics like I have, like in the sense of like having super cleaning moments and then super not doing anything moments, or it was just really a wonderful feeling to know that I understand myself better to another level. And I'm so grateful for my therapist to help me to overcome a lot of obstacles. But this has just helped me in understanding my abilities even more.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know that there's kind of two kinds of people where they get the ADHD diagnosis, and I hate to say the end of the world, but it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And but I think what you're saying is that, okay, this makes sense now. Now I can, now I'm beginning to like understand myself, right?
Oh, 1,000%. And I do appreciate that there are so many different like reels and TikToks type things that like explain ADHD to another levels and show people who have them, that I'm just kind of like, huh, okay, I do all of those things. Oh, this is very helpful. Oh, here's a ways to overcome some of these little things and stuff. So I really have found that to be extremely helpful. And not just in understanding myself, but also how I'm able to function in the workplace and how I'm functioning better in with my kids and that kind of stuff. So it's been very, very helpful for me.
Yeah. So you've kind of you've described yourself as a serial entrepreneur. We listed a few of the things that you're currently engaged in professionally. But that said, what do you think your strengths truly are? Because you have described a busy life where you've got a bunch of things going on, and speaking and helping others, and children in the mix and all that. So as that serial entrepreneur with ADHD, what do you truly believe your strengths are?
Honestly, I would say I have a really big heart and I genuinely want to make a difference in this world and help people and make it show people that, well, to be able to help people in a lot of different ways, but that's a huge strength for me because people can see my heart, and when people can see someone's heart and passion and love and kindness, it's almost like they can also see that that person actually really cares to make a difference in their lives, and that could be in any way possible, with their finances, it could be with their nonprofit abilities, it could be with whatever they're trying to achieve. And so with that heart, with that passion, people tend to I personally think that it kind of takes everything to a different level. And so for me, I feel like that is definitely something where I feel pretty very good about.
And what do you do to make sure that you don't overextend yourself? Because one of the things we talk about here a lot is burnout, whether it's ADHD or not. But what I have found, and I don't have any data to back it up, so to speak, it's just my experience over the years, is that I think people with ADHD experience burnout not only faster, but harder, because we do like to go at a million miles an hour. A lot of us do have that big heart where we want to help others. We have those values.
Mhm.
Where we and maybe sometimes to a fault where like maybe we can't say no.
Mhm.
So do you do anything to make sure that you can kind of protect yourself from kind of getting into some chronic stress or exhaustion?
Honestly, this has been a struggle for me. Because because I have such a heart, as most people with ADHD do, is, I do want to help everyone. I do want to make a difference. However, the few things that I've learned to help myself from becoming burnt out is I was running for honorary mayor in Fair Oaks, and that was a lot because I had a full-time job, I had a baby, like all these different things, and I realized I was very, very, very burnt out. And so I started these things called me days. So I would take 24 hours and I would go and read. I'd just be left alone. I'd turn my phone off and just woosah, because that was the only way that I could actually like really shut off my brain for, well, not even shut it off, but just like slow it down a little bit, or help to not have everybody needing something from me all the time. So that little 24 hours made a huge difference in my life, to be able to journal and get down my feelings and my thoughts, that kind of stuff. So that helps a lot for being able to not hit these levels of exhaustion, or these levels of overwhelm. The me days, I also make sure that I try to have at least one day every 2 weeks where I'm home and just trying to woosah a little bit. But shutting off my brain is pretty much impossible. I'm sure that's not just me. I'm sure that's a lot of people with ADHD. But if I can physically be able to relax and not have to focus on one specific task for the day, or several tasks for the day, I'm noticing that it helps me a lot with it helps it to where I don't burn out as easily.
Right. But generally speaking, all the things you're doing professionally are things that you love to do and give you energy, so to speak.
Oh, 100%. Yes. So everything I'm doing in my life, and I'm so grateful. I have such passion for. I love being able to make a difference in so many people's lives. I also feel very grateful for all of the charity work that I get to do, because there's a lot of charity work that I get to do to help children and animals,
Hmm.
and that makes me feel very good about what I do too. So I feel very fortunate to be as passionate as I am to help as many people as I do.
Yeah. So we talked about your strengths, your superpowers, whatever we want to call them. So what are the challenges that you struggle with? Because it sounds like life is good. You've experienced a lot of success. You're doing things that you do love, that give you energy, that get you up in the morning. But I think whether we have ADHD or not, us humans always have some challenges that like continue to tap us on the shoulder, so to speak. So
Absolutely.
so what are those challenges that you struggle with? How do you mitigate those? How do you address them?
Absolutely. So, you're absolutely right. Everybody has challenges, right? So, some of my biggest challenges are that I tend to throw myself into situations, and I mean, like, when I say throw in, I mean like when I am a friend, I am a loyal friend. I am overly helpful. I make sure that I'm going to another levels to help that person. And so sometimes that can be a really bad thing because and it's a big challenge, because sometimes that person's not who we say who we think they are, right? And they'll do something to hurt me or something like that. So one of my biggest challenges is that I tend to throw myself or into a project. Another great option is I'll say, okay, so I'm doing this gala event. Wonderful, let's go, let's do this. I throw myself into that event. I volunteer for a million things, and then I'm like, holy crap, how much did I just volunteer for? And
Yep.
so sometimes, I always end up working it out. I always end up making sure that everything gets done. But sometimes that can be a big challenge to just to be that passionate and that wanting to help. Sometimes can be very a very bad thing in the sense of like you only have so much time in the day, right? How I mitigate that is before I volunteer for things now, I will I'll stop, look at my calendar and say what's realistic.
Yeah.
Is this realistic to throw myself this much into that event? And then I'll say, okay, not to that level, but maybe I could do these couple things and have my personal assistant and my virtual assistant focus on this or whatever those things are, because delegation is, and for me it's by far the key to my successes. And so I stop, I review everything before I automatically just jump in, because my very bad habit is to just jump in and help out as much as I can.
Yeah. No, I think that
Mhm.
uh we do like to say yes, like super quick,
Yeah.
a lot of us. And I think we had good intentions at the time. Um, but yeah, then you're like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
You know? And then I think for some of us, and I know I've experienced this over the years, where then, you know, things get busy, life gets busy. Um, the commitment was more than you thought it was, and then you begin to have a little bit of egg on your face, so to speak, because maybe you dropped the ball, and
Hmm.
and I know I don't like that feeling. We don't like that feeling of like, oh crap, I let somebody down. And I
Hmm.
think you're right. That's important to for many of us, because this comes up a lot, where I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and we need to like hit the pause button and just make sure that we can carry through, because I think, like I said, the 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 downside is letting our ADHD take over because we let somebody down, which then our
Hmm.
mind goes to places, and then we
Oh,
feel that
all
guilt and
that.
everything. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I think we need to put those like protections in place for ourselves so we don't
Hmm.
get into a bad space. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So you've done a lot, you continue to do a lot. I always love to wrap up uh these podcast episodes with just things people can maybe try in their life. People come here, they're seeking advice. Maybe they're having some challenges in their life. They're busy people. Um, so can you give us, and you've talked about a lot, like, the checklist is in the calendar, mission critical, those types of things. But can you give us a little bit of a roadmap as we wrap up as to what busy adults with ADHD listening now can kind of do to implement in their lives that maybe you have done that have been successful, that have allowed you to thrive and be fulfilled?
100%. So I feel like that having plans, having a roadmap to success is extremely helpful, and for me, because typically if you say, hey, my ultimate goal is to be a CEO of a company, okay, well, how do you get there? And then creating that roadmap of, okay, the first step is I have to go and speak to this specific person to get this position, okay, and then the next step is I have to have now a certain degree or whatever those things are. So essentially having that roadmap of that success, of how to get to that success, is extremely helpful, and it's almost like another form of a checklist, right? So
Yeah.
essentially it's, here's where I'm at now, here's where I want to be, here are the steps to get there. And so for me, that has been extremely helpful for me to understand um, not only my goals and where I'm at currently, but also what I need to do to become a better person to get to that level, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you feel you have uh, a good support system in place for yourself? You mentioned a therapist and an assistant, but do you what are the types of supports do you rely on so you can do your thing?
Absolutely. So I feel extremely supported. I have an amazing husband. I've been married for 20 years. I have an amazing amount of friends that are truly amazing people. I have great family, I have board of directors for every single company that I run or that I'm a part of, that have great a great ethics and want to help. I have a virtual assistant, a personal assistant. So I feel like a therapist. I have a coach. I also have a coach. So it to me for me creating that support system, and it doesn't mean that you're born with the support system, right? So it could be a
Exactly. Yeah.
really bad
Mhm.
family, and I did have a really horrible upbringing and some pretty rough things that I went through, but honestly I created my own support system, and honestly I'm so grateful that I have such a great support system.
Yeah. Would you be where you are today without that support system?
Definitely not. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without knowing that, you know, I have to use a perfect example is a relationship with ADHD. When you're with somebody who doesn't have ADHD, it's very overwhelming for the other person to deal with on a consistent basis. But if they know you and they understand you, it just makes life a lot easier for you to understand you to be able to get to that next level. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I always love telling the stories of entrepreneurs with different brains. Did I miss anything?
Nothing I can think of. I think this was fun.
All right, cool. Well, you're always welcome back here. I think people, the reason I wrote the first book was because I thought there was, you know, a lot of negativity about ADHD out there, and even like, say the corporate world, like, if somebody said they had ADHD, like, I don't want to hire this guy, or but I want to continue to reinforce that if if we if we have that support system in place, and we can be in an environment where we can thrive, we can crush it. But we just need to continue to tell that story you know
100%. 100%.
Yeah, cool. How can people find you?
Yeah, come check me out on my website. It's www.stephaniemearse.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and everything, all of the different social media outlets pretty much. So come check me out, and I'd love to help out in whatever ways you might need.
Cool. All right, we will, as us podcasters say, we'll have that in the show notes.
Fabulous.
So cool. All right, you're welcome back anytime, and thanks so much for your advice and insight into the world of busy people with ADHD.